Welcome. Welcome to a new day on Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. This is a transformation series, mind, body, and spirit. And today we have chosen a topic to fit and be fit to what we're seeing, not only in our community, but in our lives, the changing happenstance, the changing interventions and incidences in our community with relationship. And so today we're going to talk about relationship makers. And we have with us Pastor or Reverend Dr. Corey Wilson, who's with Christian Faith Missionary Baptist Church. And but also he is with the Women's Resource Center. Good morning. In terms of mental health coaching and developing Pastors Coalition here in Houston, Texas, and regionally. So I just want to say welcome to Dr. Wilson. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, excited to do what I can to.
Well, I am too. I see we're having a little going out phasing problems technically. So I hope our producer can get us on and maybe you can get on. So we're going to talk about relationship makers. And we chose that word because people often say builders. And some that I wanted to look at what can take away can also sometimes be a maker within relationship. So I had several different encounters this morning. One of the encounters in relationships that I had was people defining relationship in terms of the worldviews of their um, environment, their what they grew up with, the development, the values that were set at that particular time. So that's one of the things that we want to begin looking at. And the other thing that I saw is that once we become values, we then tend to, secondly, evaluate others or what we're looking for in a relationship based upon what not only what we need, but how we think our values supersede what their needs are, not the interaction, not the interconnectedness of that. And so there are many things that we're looking at. I have people that said to me is that I want a relationship, but I'm not knowing how to locate or find a relationship. Everywhere I look, there's dissatisfaction or the person doesn't meet my particular needs. Then I have people that are saying, I'm not ready for a relationship because I'm not healed myself. Now, we're right on the right track in terms of that. So I'm hoping that our guest is able to get back on the show because we're going to talk about what we need to look for in a relationship, but we're going to do it both psychologically and biblically. So, one of the things is that there are different types of relationships. Relationship we could define as coming together, looking at how we can share experiences, how we express things together, and then over time, what we build and how we see our growth together. So when we look at relationship, we have relationships at work, we have relationships on the home front at home, and we have relationship with our children. And soon as we say relationships, people tend to only begin to think of dating. Okay. And so it is that we need to look at relationship in terms of what type of relationship that we have. So when we want to then move forward to looking at, and let's define. So those of you who are in our audience today, maybe you would write down a story. Maybe you would write down a situation or a description of what relationship means to you. So some of the things that I'm going to ask Dr. Wilson about is what are some ways that we can actually begin to describe what a relationship is and what the words about relationship, what does that mean? And we can look at it both biblically and psychologically. Mhm.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lewis. Forgive me, I had some little minor, quick technical difficulties, but You kept going like a champion that you are. And here
Mm-hmm.
we are. So, with that being said, first of all, when you look at the word relationship, the root word in relationship is relate. Okay. The
Mm-hmm.
root word. So, in relationship, there must be a relating. And while I'm here, I love giving definitions because it really
Mm-hmm.
helps to help you understand what it is. To relate is to connect as in thought or meaning, to have some connection or relation. So you cannot have a relationship if you don't first relate or connect. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important for humans to be able to connect because in the connection, that's when we find ourselves, believe it or not. That's when we find our strength. That's when we find our power. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
know sometimes these connections bring a lot of negativity, a lot of things that happen because of being connected. However, from a biblical standpoint, if there is an adversary, and I'm saying this rhetorically, okay, which I know there's an adversary, and his name is,
Mm-hmm.
but if there's an adversary, which I do know there is, and God's purpose for all of his people is to connect. Well, the adversary's objective is to what? Do the opposite with what
Mm-hmm.
God wants for his people. So
Mm-hmm.
if the adversary's number one goal is to stop us from connecting, he's going to cause friction. He's going to cause disappointment. He's
Mm-hmm.
going to cause backstabbing. He's going to cause lies, all negative things. And then he's going to say, you see, this is why you shouldn't connect. It's not
Right.
good to connect. And here you go, losing one of the main important ingredients that God gave us and put us around each other, which was
Mm-hmm.
to connect. Now, I don't want to go any further,
But
but
let me give us some relationship issue that
okay,
occurred this morning
all right.
with one of the people, one of the gentlemen that I had this morning. And one of the things that he was saying is that he defined connection as a different, but his goal was to determine and locate somebody that his ultimate goal is to meet someone that's meaningful in his life and that allows him to be himself and he has some control in the situation, but he wants a meaningful relationship. So in the encounters, what he does now is truly engaging, flirting with people in order to see if he can get them. But he's so in other words, when I asked, I said, well, what is it that you do? He says, well, what I do is I meet these series of people, and once I get them and they're interested in spending more time with me and that kind of thing, then I no longer want them. You see, and
Mm-hmm,
but he cannot see that it's coming from within him to violate his own
mm-hmm.
desire. So that's what I.
Correct.
So, mm-hmm,
Yeah, and I guarantee you, there's two things or maybe three in that case with that young man. Is one, A, he's been hurt, okay,
mm-hmm.
or B, he has a phobia or a fear of being hurt, and he
Yes,
doesn't want to take the risk of
mm-hmm.
being vulnerable, which is another attribute and characteristic of connecting and relating in a relationship with anyone. You must be able to show yourself, regardless of the other individual across from
Mm-hmm.
you, a part of being vulnerable. In
Yes,
that, he wants that related aspect of a relationship and connection, but he wants it one sided. And when it's time for him to give what he's receiving, he shuts the door because
yes,
he likes the sport of going out to see if he can catch the relationship in someone else and the vulnerability in someone else. And once he has that, he's fine because he don't want to really engage in a complete relationship where it's two-sided and not just
yes,
one. And again,
Right.
that can be for many factors.
Right. And that's important when you mention vulnerability, is that showing yourself in the manner of what you want to receive uh
Mhm.
seems to be important at that particular time. You see, and to
Mhm.
trust yourself. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things we have to be careful of as humans, and I'm gonna say this, and I've had to learn this personally, not to be looking for more in and from somebody else than I'm willing to give myself.
Yes. Now, can we speak on that a little bit
Yeah,
about what this more or
yeah.
less could be that you could give and what brings balance? Let's talk about um because some people think of giving as one thing and another. So let's see if we can talk about the willingness to give.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, I'll keep on the same illustration that you're using with this young man. I'll stay there since we're already discussing that.
Mhm.
One of the things he's doing, and he may not realize it, he's asking for more than he's willing to give. Case in point. But when you listen to him verbalize it, you would think by hearing him that he's looking for balance. Because for
Mhm.
anyone to be that intense and looking for relatedness and to
Mhm.
be able to connect, you would definitely think once they feel that they found it, they wouldn't leave the person at the table.
Right.
So that's a perfect case of someone looking for more than
Mhm.
they're willing to give. He's saying he's looking for these great factors, these great characteristics. When he feels that he's attained them from someone else, that's more than he's willing to give. Why? When it's time for him to just bring to the table what he found, he exits.
Yes.
That's a perfect case scenario to
Mhm.
personify a person asking for more than they're
That they.
willing to give, even though they're discussing
Ooh.
it. And
Mhm.
you would think
Mm.
that if you're that deep in finding something, you would think you're also making sure you're bringing what you say you're searching for.
Searching for it, yes. But sometimes, do you think, and in what way do you think it? If it is, do you think it's something that they're saying that they want? What do you think some of the other barriers? Can we talk about when we're speaking of makers or breakers is what I call them. What do you think? What do you think is going on? Because there is a dilemma, a push pull, seemingly situation here, because you're desiring something, and usually your steps match your desires, move
Yeah.
towards your desires, but the steps seem to be sidestepping as you describe what the
Hmm.
desires are. Can we talk about the motivation for sidestepping or breaking?
Well, well, Dr. Lewis, I got a good one for you, and it's the one to
Okay,
start
then
off the
give
year,
me, give
okay?
it to me, give it to me.
And I know you're going to attack me, so I'm just prepping you
Come
and
on, that's
prefacing
all right.
that I got one for you at the beginning of the year to let you know I haven't changed my spots, okay?
Okay, then. Okay.
So, back in the early 1900s, when there was an
Well, now
old
I know
saying,
I know
okay?
somebody told you about it, but go on and tell me what they told you.
So there was an old saying when I was growing up. My grandparents would say when we would go out to eat or something, or go to get donuts, I would be in a donut shop, or one of my cousins or brothers or sisters. And we look all over the donut shop, and we would start ordering every type of donut and asking for like a dozen within ourselves. And my grandfather would look down at us and say, "Are y'all nuts?" He said, "Your eyes are bigger than your stomach."
Mm-hmm.
That's an old saying. And what that
Yes.
meant was you were asking and desiring something that you really want ready for.
Mm-hmm.
See, in life, it's like window shopping. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go from getting what you desired, that doesn't mean you were ready for what you immensely desired. And the
Mm-hmm.
problem with humans, we just think it's okay to desire and not be
Mm-hmm.
ready for what we desire, because there's a excitement level that go
Mm-hmm.
with desiring.
Yes.
And that's one of our issues. Even going in relationships, young men desiring to be a man, and he's
Yes.
desiring the things that go with manhood. But do you
Mm-hmm.
think that young man has sat down and combed through to see what I'm desiring in a man? Am I ready for the things that go with what I desire? Same for young women. Young women desire to be women, but they don't always get themselves ready for what goes with being a woman. And that's where the issue comes in. You can desire big things, but that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you're ready for them.
Yes, yes. And sometimes when you're speaking about the donut shop, what is really happening is that even though you're wanting more because you have not been able to make a decision about how all of those may fit you or taste. So you don't know something about yourself. You don't
Exactly.
really know, they all just look good, but
Hmm.
you don't really know what is going to fit for you or the preference for taste.
Now you're talking.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what helps us with that dilemma,
Mhm.
knowing or getting to know yourself.
Mhm.
Because you're going to desire a whole lot of things that's going to look good. I'm going to say this too now.
Mhm.
Being a man or a woman, you're going to see a lot of women that look good. You're going
Mhm.
to see a lot of men that look good. But you don't react on how somebody look because they're desirable every time. You'll
Mhm.
forever be going after every person you see.
Mhm.
So you got to now mature
Mhm.
and get beyond simple desires and get
Mhm.
to know who you are. And then when you look for what's desirable, it's a related link and the connection to who you are. So even though you see other things that look good, you realize that it does look good, but it might not match me. Now
Right.
that's adult discussion. That's
Mhm.
maturity speaking. And sad
Yes,
enough, a lot of people are grown but not mature.
that's right. That's right. So I was sharing, I was like, well, when you look at and you don't know what it is that you want and you're chasing and you're doing this,
Hmm.
had you ever decided or asked yourself the question, what is it that you want it to do for you?
Hmm.
See, because sometimes we're out looking, when you go to the restaurant, the buffet, and people just pile their plate up, they haven't decided to take the time to know that they're going to explore first
Hmm.
before you make up your mind. So you get a little bit and you go around and taste test,
Hmm.
the new things that you may not know about before you decide what you're going to do. Are you going to eat it or are you just going to observe it? You see, or smell it. Some people smell it.
Exactly.
You see?
No, that's right. It's like one of the things we must learn about life, every human born, you got to do more spending of time inside. Inside of what? Yourself versus
Mhm.
outside of what's outside of you. And the problem with the allure of everything outside of us, it will cause us to be distracted from spending quality time with what's inside, getting to know that. Now, sometimes that's not looking as illustrious. It's not
Mhm.
lights like in Vegas when you go inside,
Mhm.
but you gotta then sacrifice the outside to go inside to find value in who you are, what you
Mhm.
like, and be able to now hone in on that. Once you then come from that and go back out, you will see a lot of good things, but you'll know exactly what you are looking for in relation to what matches you, not
Mhm.
just what's good.
Yes. So
What looks good.
what are some of the things when we're talking about looking for something inside of ourselves, looking for something that, what are some things that we should query or investigate when we're looking for something before we start going out? what should we investigate within ourselves? And I want you to answer that both. Let's explore it both biblically and spiritually, because it tells us, ooh, what kinds of things that we needed to pay attention to.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, First thing we need to realize: A, do you know yourself? But what does that look like?
Yes.
Um, do you know your strengths?
Hmm.
Let's start with that.
Hmm.
Do you know your weaknesses?
Hmm.
Second thing is,
Like, and when you go on like some examples, we can go back to that after you talk. Yes,
huh?
strengths and weaknesses.
Strengths and weaknesses. Let's just start with that. Meaning,
Hmm.
do you know your number one thing in your skill and what you have been given as a gift,
Hmm.
a talent, and have you put more time and energy in that versus in other things you think you want to do because other people are doing it? You see, this is getting a little deeper, but sad enough, we spend more time looking at what others do and then wishing to do that versus respecting and appreciating and
Hmm.
enjoying what others are doing, but then allowing that to make you not go in to see if you can do that, but to see what is it that you can do by
Hmm.
using that as a motivator, by
Hmm.
having somebody else in front of you reach the top of what that is you're desiring to do. Because, see, the problem is we spend more time trying to be something that we can only be a C in because that's that other person's talent. No matter how much
Hmm.
time you put into that, that
Hmm.
just might not be why God put you here to do that
Hmm.
at that level like them. That doesn't mean that you're not great, but you just might
Right.
be as great in that. So instead of spending so much time trying to replicate what somebody else is great in,
Hmm.
be respectful of it, honor it, enjoy it, but let that cause you to go in to see what is it that you have that makes you great where others see that may
Hmm.
want to be like you in something, but could never be you because of the traits that God gave you naturally.
Yes.
So this is a deeper question and it
So
leads to.
even on another level,
Mhm.
as you're describing, not comparing
Yes.
yourself
Mhm.
um, to what other people are doing on how other people's relationship are, but not looking at your strength
Mhm.
to be the same as his strength or another individual's strength.
Exactly. Because here's going to be an issue, and we'll get all the way back. When you don't produce like what you saw, and now you've put all your energy and years
Right.
and time into,
Mm-hmm.
when you don't reach that level of perfection in that and start to get the things that you saw the other person get,
Yes.
that in and of itself is going to tell you that you are a failure. You're
Uh-huh.
not good.
Mm-hmm. Didn't
And
measure up.
it's
Mm-hmm.
exact, and it's going to cause you to start thinking you're less than,
Yes.
you're not good enough, which could bring on some things about depression and so on and so forth. But in
Mm-hmm.
essence, it's right, but it's not. You went to try to do something that's not in you, like it's in them. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of thinking you're less than, just know that that's not what you should be
Mm-hmm.
focused on. You got to go find what you're good at
Mm-hmm.
and put your energy, your money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, last thing I'm gonna say on this is, some time ago when I was in California, I
Mm-hmm.
had these things coming at me like, you remember Amway,
Yes, yes,
all that
yes,
kind of stuff, right? Well, the people used to come at me and buzz my door because they liked the way I spoke. They said, "Oh, you can sell stuff. You'll be a
yes,
great this. You'll be a great that." And being young, ambitious, trying to make the money, etc., I went and did all this other stuff while in school. But I realized something while doing it. After some months, I had to come to terms with, this is not me, and
yes,
I'm not,
yes.
and I
Well,
had to come to
I
terms.
can get right on there with you. I remember I did what they, you don't remember Costco? I
Uh,
remember the mink oil people.
uh-huh.
And so I remember doing that. I was like, geez, I enjoyed this. Was fun, blah, blah, blah. But this is not for me.
Not me. It's not me. And I had to come
Mm-hmm.
to terms with that. Because
Mm-hmm.
in that, I got to say, I wasn't making the mark. But I had to determine that fast and not take it too far with making myself think I wasn't good.
Yes,
My
yes.
problem was I was operating and putting time and energy in something at best I could only do satisfactory work,
Right.
which was going to only bring me satisfactory returns. So when I then, as I spoke to God about it, because I was hurting, I didn't understand. That's when He
Mm-hmm.
told me what I'm saying to the audience today. Focus on what's in you. First, find that, and then you put all of your energy and all of your investment, all of your money, and all of your time in what I put in you. And
Mm-hmm.
in that, you will never only produce satisfactory work. That's
Mm-hmm.
when you can do extraordinary things. But it
Yes.
can only be with what I gave you for you. And I had to learn that. Case in point, in church, right? Growing up. You know what I wanted to be, Dr. Lewis,
Hmm.
as a child? When I was growing up in church, I wanted to be a singer.
Oh, okay, okay,
That's
okay.
why I mess with you all the time. When I was in church, I used to dream about, man, I wish I could sing and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I would just see myself in the choir leading songs while the people, man, I mean, I could see it, but I didn't have it. Okay. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to come to terms with that. Now, years later, lo and behold, I realized God didn't make me a singer. He made me a preacher. Now, I got
Yes,
to tell you
yes,
something. If
yes.
I had an option, if I had the option, I
Mm-hmm.
would still want to do what I thought I liked, singing. I'm just being honest. So, me becoming a preacher, that's
Uh-huh.
God's calling. That's what He gave me and
Mm-hmm.
everything associated. So, I then said, no problem. I'm going to sacrifice my singing to do what you made me. So, I invested everything I had in that, but it was not what I wanted. Hear what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes, yes.
It didn't look desirable to me. Okay. But I
Mm-hmm.
accepted it because that's who I was. And I didn't even know it. And
Right.
when I turned into it and
How,
sacrificed
how did,
every,
how, may I ask,
uh-huh,
can you share how you knew it? Can you share what resonated with you and what are some indications, indices that help you know it, to know
okay,
what was and what was not?
yeah, well, know that I wasn't a singer.
Yes. Uh-huh. What
Yeah.
and what did you, yes.
Well, one thing is, as I tried to sing things, it didn't come out the way I heard it from others.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just me being honest with myself. No
Mm-hmm.
synthesizers. I just couldn't do it. I can
Mm-hmm.
play and be like a comedian, do a note to mimic somebody, but I wasn't no singer. And I had to
Right.
come to terms with that. Secondly, how did I know really what I was? Well, while in college, undergrad, God sent one of the students to me one day, and I didn't know him, and he didn't know me. And we had a conversation, and he told me some things that God put on his heart, and it blew my mind about who I was. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I had a choice there, and I accepted it. I cried because I knew my life, the way I thought it was going to be, was over. But I accepted what God used someone. Now, talk about relationship. Okay. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know this person. And they told me something so profound that's got me sitting in this seat, being able to do what I'm doing today, benefit
Mm-hmm.
myself and God's people. But that came by way of a stranger. Talk about relationships
Mm-hmm.
and how important that they are. So, because of all that, he told me something that I did not see in myself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that and went and I began to dig and spend time with God. And he
Mm-hmm.
started to show me everything that that person said was true. I just needed to invest myself in myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I had to learn to do. That means all of, I'm just going to say, being young, parties, and hanging
Mhm.
out and doing
Mhm.
what everybody. I had to slow that down and put some
Mhm.
energy into getting to know me.
Mhm.
Can't do all that and get to know yourself simultaneously.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Right.
Something had to be sacrificed
Mhm.
and find myself and get focused. So I hope that's answering the question. It's like a testament.
Yes, you get right. So you can realize that you're investing in it, that you felt something, you acknowledged something, you knew something, that you even wanted to take away some things that you wanted to do or desired to do so that that could happen. And you could see
Exactly.
yourself doing that,
Correct.
moving in that direction. Yes.
And what I see today in a lot of people, and even yesterday, that's where a lot of us go wrong. We might have something, we have, I know,
Mhm.
we don't take the time away from other things that takes our time away from
Mhm.
ourselves. Listen
Mhm.
to me with clarity. You got to learn to take your time that you're spending in all these other places with all these
Mhm.
other people and with all these other desires that you're wishing to do, hoping
Mhm.
to do, but it's just not you.
Right.
That's time that you're
Mhm.
robbing you from you.
Mhm.
So that time, as you start to realize something about yourself, you got to start removing time from all these places and putting it in the right place.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
cannot get developed until you find yourself.
Right.
That's when you
Mhm.
spend more time developing what you found.
Now, can we, for the sake of relationship makers,
Mhm,
so when I like want to stay right there where you are, in that when you're taking time, it means that you're pulled or some way to stay in that moment because there's something about that moment or that situation that makes you feel, if I could use the word, whole,
mhm,
centered,
mhm,
meaningful,
mhm, mhm.
um, some other words,
Yeah.
so that a person will know that even in a relationship, while you're getting to know yourself, bridge builders are occurring.
Mhm, mhm.
See. Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point because I gotta say, a lot of times when you start finding that in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your excitement about it doesn't come from what you're gonna get. It's about what you're gonna give.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Understand what I'm saying? And
Yes.
all these other things that we go after to ascertain and become,
Mm-hmm.
if you do that, you get excited about what it's going to give you, what it's going to
Mm-hmm.
bring to you, what it's going to make of you for all these things. But the funny thing about your gift, your excitement don't come from what you're going to get in your thoughts, in your
Mm-hmm.
dreams, in your passions. It comes from what you're going to give and what
Mm-hmm.
you're going to do and how you want to give it. You want to give it at your very
Mm-hmm.
best.
Yes.
So that's why you spend so much time honing your craft because it's not about what you get, it's about what
Mm-hmm.
you give.
Yes.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
getting to relational things, a true relationship, I gotta say, and I had to learn this, it's not about what you get, it's about what you give.
Yes.
I mean that. It's
And the energy behind the desires behind, well, let me say it like this:
uh-huh,
the wanting, the increased wanting to do it,
uh-huh.
the
Exactly.
significance of doing it.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I told my wife during this time that we've had all, we were riding, I said, something that I realized that humans get wrong. I said, in this, and we just was talking, I said, I've realized that people do things based on a person or a situation versus doing it because that's who they are. Case in point, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be nice to somebody, if I want to get my wife coffee or do something for her, she's going to possibly think that I'm doing it because of how great they are.
Mhm. Mhm.
But what I've learned in life, if I do it based on how great she is, well, what if some days she's not so great? Well, I'm not going to get the coffee. If I base getting it
On
on how
something that you,
great,
yes. Mhm.
so I've learned the more mature way in life. Don't do it based on how you think about somebody else. You do things based on how you think about you. And I learned that. So everything I do now, I don't really care about how great a person that's receiving it is. I just want to make sure I'm producing it. It's on them to see the value in what I'm giving. It's not on the person, it's on me. And we base too much on individuals. So when somebody don't do something that makes you feel valued, you're not going to give at your best because you don't think you're receiving their best. That's not the way God intended it.
Mhm.
He wants me and you to bring and give our best no matter what. Do not make it conditional. That's why God says in the Bible, he doesn't have respect of person, meaning whoever come to him, this is how they're going to get treated, no matter what. We don't live that way. We treat people based on what we think about people. And
Mhm.
that's not holy, that's not righteous, that's not
Mhm.
good, that's not
Mhm.
wholesome, that's not
Mhm.
healthy. And we do that all day and
Right.
don't realize it.
So that commercial that comes on is for some organization here in Houston, and it says, "How young do they have to be before you care?" So it's
Mm-hmm.
like the person has to. They're only going to help them based upon how they see, not that they're a human being,
Mm-hmm.
but that they shouldn't have been there in the first place. They shouldn't have been in that situation, evaluating the individual rather than as opposed to
Exactly.
knowing, creating a standard of
Exactly.
care. Hmm.
Exactly. That's
Hmm.
how we get racism.
Yes. Hmm. That's right.
That's how you get that's how you get bias.
Hmm.
That's how you get prejudice.
Hmm.
Because you want to do this for people you think deserve it. But wait a
Right.
minute.
Hmm.
Wait now.
Hmm.
Who are you to say who deserves what's good or what's bad?
Hmm.
That's why we as humans get in trouble. So in turn, I've learned we need to learn. How about you make that your standard? Whether
Hmm.
the person is white or black, whether
Hmm.
they short or tall, whether they, I'm just saying what we say, pretty or ugly, whether
Hmm.
they light skin or dark skin, whether
Right.
they educated or illiterate, whether they live in a palace or live on the street.
Hmm.
You make it a standard in yourself for what you're going to give whoever is in front of you.
Right.
That's
Yes.
that's the ultimate related aspect as to being relationship makers.
Right.
That's the
Hmm.
underlying theme for a true relationship maker. When you stop making it about the person and what you think is good or bad about them, what
Hmm.
triggers what you want to do or what you want to give or how you want to treat, that's not the right way.
Hmm.
The true standard is you make it your standard. So when you get me, you get this. It's not
Hmm.
about you no more. It's about me. Now that's a lot of work.
That's right. And then the key is to want to look at yourself. See, there has to
Mhm.
be, even if you want your relationship to improve or to get prepared for a relationship, it is that the desire to want to reflect and look at yourself is really truly what you're saying is the beginning. Okay,
It's the
that's the
beginning.
real beginning, to check yourself. And the other thing that I'm hearing you say that I wanted to look at was creating standards of relationship, making a strong relationship,
Mhm.
creating other standards of how the attitude about things, or values, once you look at yourself, then how would that then begin to look differently, or how will that look in terms of expressions within the relationship?
Well, first of all, once you allow someone that's with you on any level access in return to you, this is what I mean by access. Are you okay with being criticized?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you just fine with criticizing?
Right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things. You cannot, if you want to be in a relationship, you can't make people feel uncomfortable because you don't want to be told anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to tell somebody something, you got to be also willing to be told something, and not become thinking you're at war.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like one of the things I see we do. We love giving out information. We love playing teacher. Let's do it that way.
Yes.
We love playing teacher, but we don't also love playing student. Because then you go into, well,
Yes.
you made me feel. No, 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 no.
Yes.
That
Yes.
person didn't make you feel like no child. You thought,
Mm-hmm.
you took what they said because they were now needing to tell you, teach you. Do you know how ignorant every human being is walking this planet? Ignorant only means when you don't know something. I'm
Yes.
ignorant.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? I hate to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Ignorance is really not a bad term.
And so
But
once you accept it,
okay,
once you accept that you can be ignorant about many things, that's when you can learn not to be. When you're really, so sometimes the very thing that we're fighting against keeps us stuck.
exactly. It's like if my shirt is buttoned wrong and I haven't looked in
Yes.
the mirror that morning. I'm ignorant to my shirt being buttoned wrong. So as soon as I get to wherever I'm going, somebody that I might not care about or care for say, excuse me, Dr. Wilson, your shirt is not right. And I'm going to take that and say, well, you trying to belittle me.
Yes.
You talking down to me. I'm not your child. Well, you need to
Mm-hmm.
be telling me about how I
Mm-hmm.
dress. That's what you do with your chip. Whoa,
Yes.
whoa, wait a minute. See how
Mm-hmm.
we can take things?
Yes.
But yet, if you saw somebody, you would think it's from the kindness of your heart that
Yes.
you wanted to go out of your way to help the person see, right? And
I
I
know
didn't.
how we interpret something. I did all of that. I did all of that. So my other person this morning, I hope he's going to
Mm-hmm,
be on. Um, so he had difficulties. So he has someone staying with him, and
mm-hmm,
he found himself. He was the one we talked about a few weeks ago, who was always angry with his family, and they were always taking advantage of him and
mm-hmm,
whatever. And we gave him an assignment to begin to pay attention to the things that were going on in his life when he was really upset,
mm-hmm,
and when he was happy, and
mm-hmm,
when things seemed to be good. So what he was, so this morning he was excited. He says, guess what, during the holidays I hung out. We told him to just let go of judging,
mm-hmm,
just be yourself and pay attention to when you are excited, when you're happy. He says, you know what, when I stopped trying to be somebody's parent, Tropstein to evaluate or judge them. That was the second thing. He said, you know what? I started enjoying myself. And I realized that I wasn't respecting myself. I was just expecting things to go harmoniously well without looking at what I was given to the situation. That I was
mm-hmm,
expecting, just what you went back and said. I
mm-hmm,
was expecting
mm-hmm.
it to go harmoniously, but I wasn't given any harmony.
Exactly.
You see?
Let me give you a scripture for that. It's
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs 18 and 24. Listen to this to go
Mm-hmm.
right with that. A man that had friends must show himself friendly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A man that had friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. So you cannot get what you're desiring until you become what you're desiring.
That's right.
We're so on the other side of what we desire. All we do is want it, want it, want it. Wish it, wish it,
Hmm.
wish it. What can you become? What you're asking
Yes.
from somebody else first?
Hmm. Hmm.
How about becoming that? Can
Right.
you? Because see, let me say this: if you never become what you're asking and desiring from other people,
Hmm.
how are you gonna value it in others when you want others to value it in you?
Hmm.
When you're not it, but you want it.
Yes. Hmm.
And that's what that person had to realize. Let me stop trying to predetermine,
Yes.
dictate,
Hmm.
project. Let me stop all that and let me just be.
Yes.
And when he let go of all that, he started enjoying
Playing the
his husband.
moment, yes, in
See?
himself. He
And then,
started finding stuff inside our very early morning person. If you remember, we talked about her,
mm-hmm,
and she was defining her relationship as the security of her husband and how much money he could make.
mm-hmm,
So now she has a job and she's working and she's also doing some other things. One of the difficulties is that she wanted to go out and stay at night,
mm-hmm,
and hang out with her girlfriends, and it was bringing contention between she and her husband.
mm-hmm,
And then that was one of the one of the signals
right.
of difficulty.
Mm-hmm,
But she was depreciating her husband or not appreciating his working because he had
correct.
lost his job a couple of times, and and now that she's working, she's able to look at the relationship differently.
Mm-hmm,
So when we got her, she was like, things are going so much better. My husband is really nice to me. I was sick this weekend and he really took care of me. And I just can't believe it. So she's looking at that, her handling her fears of not having enough money, and kept her from valuing
mm-hmm,
what her husband or what the relationship had to offer in the first
mm-hmm.
place.
Exactly.
So you see, so now she's taking a different way
Right.
of looking at it, although her values still say a
Uh-huh.
measure of a man is what he can provide financially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In order for her to see the value of her husband, she had to change the value of herself.
That's right.
See,
That's right.
that's what we don't realize.
Hmm.
And that's I'm asking for more than I'm willing to give.
Yes,
See,
yes.
we do this subconsciously. We don't know we're doing it, but you
Hmm.
cannot see what you are not. That's
Yeah.
how you know when you see what you're looking at,
Yes.
you become it.
To say that again, you need to say that. We cannot see what
If,
we're not. Right.
okay, 'cause if not, we'll be forever guessing, hoping. That's not good. How do you know when you become it? Case
Yes.
in point. How do you know when somebody's righteous? Become righteous.
Right.
How
Hmm.
do you know when somebody's holy? Become holy. You see?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's not what the devil want us to do. The devil want us to spend time going around picking out who's righteous and who's not, but never
Hmm.
becoming righteous ourselves.
Yes.
And that's the trick. You're putting all this energy into trying to find out who's this and who's that, who's doing this and who's doing
Evaluating
this,
and judging and
never becoming much of nothing because you're spending
right,
all of your time trying to make sure you can see what's in others.
right. Before
Scratch
you take a chance on
that.
yourself.
That's right.
Before you take a chance on
On
yourself.
somebody else. That's it. Become
Right.
what you're looking
For.
and asking for.
That's right.
That's the trick.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
relationship maker. They have become what they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for. So it
Yes.
becomes much easier for them to pinpoint because they have it.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
understand? See, the next thing, the benefit in that, when you got it, you will stop being confused, lied to, and disappointed as much. Because see, you don't know what you're looking for. You're still looking through the lenses of hope, but
Yes.
you're not sure. So you know
Yes.
what you're doing? Now
Yeah.
you're susceptible for thousands of much more pain than spending time finding who it is, what it is in yourself. Then when you go out, instead of thinking you know, you will know. So you're gonna save yourself a lot of heartache
Mhm.
and a
Yes.
lot of pain because now you know what you don't want looks like. Just like you know what you do want looks like. Why? You see it in the mirror.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
You
You
can,
work
what
on
they
it
call it,
every day.
walking it and talking it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's right.
That's
Then you
all
know.
you
Hmm.
spend time doing. And you're gonna stop when it's like in relationship, when we do our relationship counseling, marriage counseling, you know it, Dr. Lewis. What do we
Hmm.
have to hear in the beginning? All the people are doing is telling us how bad the other one is.
That's right. That's
Right?
right.
And we got to sit
Mhm.
through that. And I know that's
Right.
the typical, that's where we got to start.
Hmm.
I get it.
Hmm.
I understand it. I've been there.
Hmm.
But once we get past that and they get tired of telling me about the other, when they get tired, that's when we
Hmm.
take over and we
Yes.
help them look at who? Themselves.
Themselves. That's right.
Okay?
Hmm.
That's the art of therapy.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. Right.
I'm
Giving
just,
them a mirror. Give them a mirror. Give them a
I'm gonna
little
give you a
something.
mirror. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say it that way because you might not go into my therapy anymore.
Yes.
But that's
Yes.
all I'm doing. I'm
Right.
easing that mirror in front of your face. And after weeks of meeting with me, you'll be able to be in that mirror 1,000% and not run, not get upset, and not think what we're doing isn't working because it is.
Right. That's when
So
you know
anyway,
you're really on your way.
yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to say to all the young couples, all the young people, we have really talked about some of the key ingredients. I know you wanted to say, choose the one who had this job and this one who had red flags and this one is whatever. But the only flag that you want to do, you can tell your flags by looking at yourself inside
Mhm.
to see how you handle your personal
Yes.
flags. And
Okay.
once you're able to do that, then you'll be able to determine how you're going to handle closeness, how you're going to handle all of these other things that you
Mhm.
might be fearful of, hesitant, and
Mhm.
those same things that you're desiring and you're asking for.
Exactly.
You
And let
see?
me say this. Let me say this. Be careful. What's good to you might not be right for you.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
What's good to you may not be right. Think about food.
Yes.
There's some food that's good to me, right?
I know that.
Amen. But it ain't right for me because look at what it does to me while I'm engaging. It's
Yes.
good to me though. You ask me about,
Yes.
oh my goodness, I can roll my eyes back and tell you
Yes.
about what it does and how it
Yes.
feels. Amen. But it don't mean it's right for you.
That's right.
We
Are
got
going to
to
be helpful, are going to
exactly.
be health, are
That's
going to
right.
be needed.
So anyway, it's this has been. I
This is
love it.
really a shaper. So Alma, we're gonna call this and it's gonna go out. Thank you for being here, our Facebook friends. And we want you to download Culture Vision TV app so that you'll be able to see this on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. And you also can go to YouTube to see under Mending Threads Women's Resource Center to see the other sessions that we have had and other talks related to this and to get more information. So, and our website, you can go on if you're interested in looking at how to help other people and use this information, go to wrc-houston.com and we'll look forward to. We have a breakfast going to come up real soon and we hope that you'll hear it and we'll be talking about healing, love and healing and those things. And so we want you to go there and express your interest in terms of what you're looking for and what you want. Okay. So, Reverend Dr. Corey Wilson, I want to thank you for being here, sharing your insights and wisdom, both as a psychologist and as a theologian or pastor. Thank you so much. And I'm
Yes,
sure it's going to be helpful.
yes, ma'am. And you and the audience is just a completely welcome, and it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do this.
Okay, I know they're telling us our time's up. I'm just going to say to you, renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect families and communities. For it's not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. So, this is what we talked about, relationship makers and breakers today. So, I'll look forward to seeing you same time, same place, same station next week, God willing.